session. So, namaste everyone. So, this is our 13th session in the series of reading Jeevan Vidya ek Parichaya English translation. We are at the question and answers section, and the last session was conducted by Estelle, and where we were discussing about dharma and saying that how it is different from faith. Hmm? So, so we saw that dharma is actually our identity, or it is our adherence that we cannot be separated from us. So it has been, Madhyastha Darshan posits that sukh or happiness is our dharma. That is something that is common across all humans, and it cannot be separated from us. We cannot be alienated from our want of happiness. While faith is a belief, uh, dharma is more than a belief. It is uh, knowing and believing both, right? And here in the Madhyastha Darshan, it is also said that realization is about being rooted in dharma, which is when there is coherence in our believing and knowing. So while faith actually is something that is associated with symbols, rituals, do's and don'ts, right? And we have seen that there are many faiths. And one line in the translation we read that many faiths are there because dharma is not understood, right? Because there are so many faiths are there, but they are not really going into the meaning of dharma, or not touching the aspect of knowing. And in the absence of knowing, all that we are left with is a faith or a belief. And belief is associated with symbols, rituals, and dogmas. And that actually lead to clashes among faiths, right? While dharma is our true identity, and when it comes to the realization of dharma, then it becomes truly possible that all humans can be united, right? And we also, in the study of consciousness or Jeevan, that we also found that there is an aspect in our sentience or Jeevan, which is called Atma, which is something which is unsullied, right? Which is something which is incorruptible, right? And that is the one that does the realization in dharma, right? And that is something which basically is becomes a defining aspect of human being. So, so we are going to continue with that question, that what is dharma and what is faith, and from the point that Estelle took us. Today we have Netal, who will be actually leading us this reading session. I had actually met Netal first at Manav Teerth, and was very impressed with her sincerity and her knowledge, and wanting to actually understand and um, go into the depth of it. In the first session, she brought our attention to a very important uh, aspect, where she said that actually the difficulty is that normal has not been identified, right? We don't know what is normal. Yeah. So what is normal for human beings? So this is in this, when she came across darshan. So one of the things that she observed here is that it very clearly and straightforward, in a straightforward manner, actually tells what is normal. And once we know what is normal, then we can identify our inclination for it, our tendency for it, and we can nurture it. Yeah. Something that I feel that um, when I read a book by Eric Fromm called The Sane Society, right?
Mm,
He actually makes the same point that we are trying to adjust people to a society, but is our society itself sane? Who is going to tell that, right? So this is something which the answer of that particular question comes from this session. So here is welcoming Netal, and please uh, lead us through the book. Thank you. Please introduce yourself first, and uh,
definitely.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rakesh Bhaiya. So, first of all, I would like to thank Rakesh Bhaiya for this opportunity. As he said, even I met him for the first time at Manav Teerth. Even Sanjeev uncle, I met him for the first time at Manav Teerth. And in a very short span of time, I feel, I don't know if I am quite well versed with the content enough to speak on this platform, but I will try my level best for that. My brief intro, as you all know, my name is Netal. I currently live with my family in Aurangabad. This is a city in Maharashtra state. And by profession, I am an advocate. I practice law at Bombay High Court as of now, dealing both in civil and criminal matters as and when. Um, I got to know about Darshan quite a long time back, but as I often say in my introduction, and have even shared with a few of them before, initially it did not appeal to me more. Like content specifically, I was not much aware about it. But definitely in my brief also I wrote everyone I saw here was really different, something different. But actually, as Bhaiya pointed out, they were so simple. They were actually normal. They were the people who were not trying to do something extraordinary to, show off themselves or just try to get that out of the box and do something extraordinary in their lives as we all try to do. And their simplicity, their clearness in their lives, and their tendencies to do something for society was something which brought me to the content. So it was people who drove me towards the content. So, as we say often, it's the conduct which brings us, and that is the thing which is all we want to bring in ourselves. So I was able to see that bits and parts of conduct, Achran in everyone, and that eventually led me to dig deep into it, try to know more about darshan, what has Babaji written that has influenced so many lives and people. And through this, again, I met one more person, Yogesh Shastriji. So meeting Bhaiya again, his life, his way of teaching and everything. I ought to get more about him. And I then spent some time in a sanstha in Buldhana, which is here nearby to my house. It is almost a 3 hours drive from here. So initially for 5, 6 months, I used to go there for 15, 20 days and go through some books, try to understand bits and parts of it. And I thought, ki, okay, from him, I can understand the entire content the way all of them understood from Babaji. But then he said, it's not this way. I won't be like the one who can explain you all. You should get it from various people so that you get different perspectives. So for this, then I went to Manav, which is an organization in Chhattisgarh where a lot of youth come together and they practice it, living with people, doing a lot of different activities, course, running the organization, and along with that, there is a regular pathan going on. So I'd spent almost 8 months there and finished almost 10 to 12 books. And now I feel that, yes, this is something, in spite of whatever career I do or whatever else thing I do in my life, this is something I want to stick to forever because this is somewhere or a place or people which helps me see the real growth or something what I'm looking in my life, which I was not aware until a huge time. And I feel in last 1 year I've gained a lot. I don't know if I can literally quantify it, but yeah, I can feel a lot of qualitative changes in myself, like clarity about a lot of things. And Even when I went through the previous discussions, I could relate, okay, these are the aspects which I'm now clear about in my life. So yeah, I am grateful. Well, it was quite a long of an introduction, I feel. But yeah, this has been journey so far. And currently also I'm trying to learn and contribute more. I personally feel that the best way to get engaged into it is through some kind of contribution. Else we just get into our work, jobs, or the things like that, and then darshan is somewhat a sideway thing. As and when we will find time, we'll just take the book, read some pages. So to have a kind of commitment, I also took up a role. So there's a kind of project going on wherein we are trying to place this entire content in the higher education. So I have taken up some responsibilities there. So that I feel is a good place, because having a sense of ownership and responsibilities that I've taken, I kind of give a dedicated time, and with responsibility now I feel I give kind of justice to whatever I have taken up and I'm reading. And this is the way I'm trying to grow in this journey. And as and when I get opportunities like this, I definitely try to step in and try to give the best that I can. So this is so far. And now, if it is okay, we can start, Rakesh. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So very nice to hear your introduction. Very
Okay.
nice. Mhm.
Okay.
We'll
So,
share the screen for the
yes.
book. Yeah.
So this is page number 150, which was the second question which Eastel started explaining in the last session. The question was, what is dharma and what is faith? So authenticity is result of realization. What is realization? Realization is the point of satisfaction of knowing and believing. If we only keep believing but don't know, that we don't then we don't find the point of satisfaction. If we know but don't believe, then too we won't find the point of satisfaction. It is when we find satisfaction in both knowing and believing that we find satisfaction in recognizing and fulfilling. Thus, far we couldn't find satisfaction in the course of recognizing and fulfilling because we lack knowing and believing. How to recognize the point of satisfaction of knowing and believing? It will be recognized through contemplation, that which gets accepted as both in buddhi. We start its sakshatkar activity within ourselves, which eventually reaches the point of satisfaction. The authenticity comes along with the point of satisfaction. Authenticity is evidence in itself. This is how we become capable of communicating the realization. So, here I feel the majorly Babaji is trying to bring our attention towards the word of knowing and believing. As Rakesh Bhai even stated before, that unless until we know or we are clear about knowing and believing these two concepts, there is no way that we can find the point of satisfaction. And often the step we skip between these two is about recognizing and fulfilling, which we'll discuss later on. So, in this, I feel the major idea which I can take away is about having clear understanding of knowing and believing, and acknowledging the fact that if I'm knowing something but I don't believe onto it, then there's no clarity about it and there's no point of satisfaction then. And vice versa, if I believe in something but I don't know the reasons or I don't know why I'm believing onto certain things, then again there's no point that I'll be satisfied with that. And then here Babaji is telling about contemplation about now knowing and believing. This is something which will be recognized through contemplation, and this is the activity which is done in the uh, activity of sakshatkar. So when in sakshatkar, it is a activity which will be done within yourself. So when I'll understand something, when I'll have sakshatkar and I'll be clear about knowing and believing of the same thing, then there'll be contemplation. And this later on he said that authenticity is evidence in itself, as we can see in him, that he believed and knew about the same thing, and that's why he can authentify about a certain thing, and that is about the state of realization. Moving ahead, we find satisfaction in ourselves upon communicating and expressing realization in human tradition, which is a true accomplishment. I become satisfied when I communicate my realization to you, which itself is the evidence of my realization. If you achieve this understanding, then it is further joy for me. And even if you don't, my satisfaction remains intact with me. I can communicate the realization eternally. According to erstwhile idealism, the realization cannot be expressed. On the basis of recognizing Jeevan, I understood that realization is its integral activity. Evidence of realization is possible only in human tradition. Understanding is the only requirement for evidencing realization. No material substance is required for this. Understanding is about knowing, believing, recognizing, and fulfilling. The activities of knowing and believing happen within Jeevan. These activities are not based on sensory experience. Therefore, these don't require any material substance. When it comes to recognizing and fulfilling, we participate in orderliness as humans. Realization has no deployment of the body. It directly makes the man joyous. Man, joyous from realization, reveals it to the world. Realization that happens in Atma is the basis of being joyful. The majesty of Atma itself is the basis of fascination and joy. Atma has the content of realization. So Man offers it to the world. Man has so much joy that it is bound to offer. When we too have bountiful of something, we naturally offer it to others. Realization is such a big bounty that man can't contain it to itself. As a result, it starts expressing realization. So, very clearly, one point which we can understand is that when we understand something or we know of something good, we definitely tend to express it. Now, if I know something good or if I have something good with me, I will definitely share it with everyone else. And the state with Babaji is talking about is the state of realization. Now, imagine generally if we have something sweet or something good happening in our family, we tend to offer it to everyone. And when a person is able to attain a state of realization, it is so natural that it will try to offer it to generations to come and for the entire mankind. So, and how will this happen is definitely where he's telling that it is very important to have understanding of understanding is the only requirement for evidencing realization. And how is this understanding or how will we get this understanding is to this four steps about knowing, believing, recognizing, and fulfilling. Now, even if I see for myself, we often juggle up with this thing of knowing and believing. We either skip onto one, jump onto other, or we are rotating in this. What we often skip onto is recognizing and fulfilling. So, unless we recognize and fulfill, this is the way or this is the only process. If we do it, we'll be very sure about it. So, I personally feel if I want to understand something or if I want to be very sure about something and move ahead, the very first thing is about knowing onto a thing. After knowing, I should recognize it, fulfill it, and then I start believing into it. So once I complete this cycle, that is the only way when I stick to it, and then eventually I build upon it. Like fix onto one thing, I believe it, On that belief, I start knowing something else, then again checking it, recognizing it, fulfilling it, and then believing it. So this is how our belief get established. And now it is no more about faith, which changes. It is about belief, which is established. This is eternal, and this does not change. And this is how we eventually lead to a state of realization. And these are those beliefs which cannot be changed. These are eternal. And now, once, like in a very generic example, I would like to share. If I listen to uh, even one sentence which Babaji says, for example, we are all, there is oneness and truth. So now, when I, like, first I know about it, then I verified by various means, recognize it and fulfill it by checking it at various places, by giving 10 various examples, and now I believe it. Now, in spite of whatever or whosoever say, I believe to a fact that, okay, irrespective of whatever, when I'm correct in righteous conduct or in truth, we all are one. And now this is a belief that I've like fixed for myself. Now this is not going to change. And slowly, I keep on building up to it. And this is how I feel, that this is how I understand that eventually we develop, or we keep on building. This is how sanskar also build up, and how we reach eventually to the state of realization through the process of checking it. And this is how we even authenticate things. So this is all I could understand from this. And definitely the state of understanding it is a higher order thing, which comes to a realization, which you will understand. This is a process which will come through understanding, and will express, like our body is connected through our mind. So whenever I'm able to understand something, realize something, I will be happy to express it, and I'll express it through my mind. So this is how and this is all what Babaji has very clearly explained in this paragraph, which is about knowing, believing, recognizing, fulfilling, and then developing the realization and expressing it through mind. I have seen, understood, and realized this. When in the past, our elders kept stating that realization cannot be expressed in words, we will now have to study which of these statements is to be believed. Realization can be expressed if a human wants. It is clear that realization can be expressed. The event is right before you. After realization comes presenting it in the form of evidences. So far, evidence has been presented either in the form of instrumental evidence or scriptural evidence. The evidence that can establish the truth hasn't yet been presented. It is a fact that instrumental evidence is variable. Scientists themselves say that it is not necessarily the final truth. Now, it has become a big dilemma to understand what the final truth is. What is the initial truth? What is in between truth? What is the close by truth? And what is far off? There is truth and there is untruth. Untruth means humans are living in delusion. There is no reality in existence by name of untruth. We could call our ignorance or our delusion untruth. Truth is all that exists. Truth neither decreases nor increases. There is no such thing as initial truth or final truth. There is only continuous truth. Or one can be in state of having understood the truth. Truth is realized only upon understanding. Understanding coexistence itself is the ultimate. Very beautiful. Just like the example that I gave you, once you're clear that this is the truth and we are all one in truth, then there's no change. There's nothing like final truth, evident truth, last truth, or partial truth or something like that. If it is true, it is true. If it is not, it does not exist. Now, when he say it does not exist, like trying to be very fair to you, even the area where I work, it is all about true and untrue. And we often try to justify ourselves ki, okay, it may not be completely true. There is a state of partial truth. He cannot be completely wrong. Person has his own situations or XYZ reasons to uh, even to satisfy ourselves and to satisfy the other person there. But now, after reading all this, somewhere down the heart, even I have accepted it that there is no such thing of being untrue, partial true, or trying to satisfy ourselves is just fooling ourselves. Because when it is true, it is just one to which everyone accepts. There is no ifs and buts into it. And when we are saying that it is untrue, that clearly state that we don't know. It is our unawareness about it. It is lack of our understanding about the fact or about the reality. And very clearly, with I would say a lot of courage here, Babaji very clearly states that truth is all that exists. Truth can neither be decreased nor increased, and it is the continuous truth. When he very clearly says this word continuous, it means in itself that there's no start, end, comma, full stop, or any of those factors. It just exists. It was, it is, and it will always be there in the form it is. And there is no change, there is no less, more, or anything to it. And when we talk about now, if someone says, okay, there is truth, this is only one thing and it is continuous, no less, more, nothing changed to it, it is an intact thing. So, what is it? So, in this last line, he very clearly states that understanding coexistence itself is the ultimate truth. So, understanding this reality of coexistence is truth, which exists, which is not going to decrease, increase, change, or change for any other reasons. So, when it comes to truth, now even I can confidently say this that there's only one truth which exists and which is continuous truth. And to understand this, you need to understand the coexistential reality, which he's stating as the ultimate truth here. Yes. Moving ahead, third paragraph. The result of understanding existence is realization that existence is an orderliness itself. Since existence itself is in the form of orderliness, it is natural for humans to have an inherent tendency to strive for orderliness. Then we come to know that human dharma is only one, and it is living in orderliness. The trump of human dharma is only in living in orderliness. Happiness is trusting the present. However, there can be no evidence of happiness in the solution presented as devotion or detachment. In the path of detachment, that is sadhana, culminates in samadhi. It is impossible to say whether one is happy or sorrowful in the state of samadhi. One cannot testify samadhi. Therefore, that state is said to be beyond happiness or sorrow. If you attain the state of samadhi, you too will see the same. Samadhi is a state that is birth of thoughts. I have seen it myself. Samadhi is a possible but not a definite event. No one can tell who will achieve the state of samadhi and when. It is not possible to say how one will achieve samadhi, since there are many methods for it. Samadhi, sadhan vidhi, angatuk vidhi, yog vidhi, dhyan vidhi, puja vidhi, jap vidhi. Okay. So, here in the third paragraph, Babaji is bringing our attention towards the idea of human dharma. What is human dharma? To which he clearly states that it is living in orderliness. And because everything in this existence and this coexistence in its is in an orderliness, so human inherently have this strive for living in orderliness. And after this, in the last paragraph, he is presenting this, like bringing this word happiness. And he states that happiness is trusting the present. Now, what do you understand, or what do I understand by happiness is trusting the present? After this, he even states that um, in the traditional period, often the happiness for even when Babaji talks about himself, when he had a lot of question and when he was also looking for, when he had questions about happiness, a lot of people said him to attain the state of samadhi. And they said that you will get all your answers in the state of samadhi. To which he even puts a question here. If people are saying that you will attain the state of sukh here in samadhi, to which he challenges and said that in the state of samadhi there are no thoughts. Even he in his expression said that when he was in the state of samadhi, he was blank, he had no thoughts. He could not think of anything. It was just a blank state. So when you are in such a state, there is no point of, there's no question that are you happy or are you sorrowful, are you regret, or you, what kind of emotion is it? Because it is a complete blank state. And even if you talk about samadhi, it is not a process that all of us can do. And there's not even one way to do it. There are ample of ways given in the tradition to attain a state. And even not everyone can do it. It is not something which normally all of us can attain. There are various methods for it. And it may happen, it may not happen, it may happen to some, it may not happen to others. So if it is doesn't, if suppose I am not able to attain the state of samadhi, won't I be happy ever? So here he's telling the very easiest option, I would say, that how could you be happy is a very clear answer is trusting in present is how you can be happy. So this is all I could take from this particular line here. Moving ahead. As he previously stated about leaving an orderliness, he eventually explains it here. So page number 154. When we start living in orderliness, our participation happens in orderliness. When we participate in Siksha Sanskar, then we can accomplish it through continuous benevolence. Shiksha Sanskar succeeds only through benevolence, and it doesn't succeed if done for remuneration. We cannot instill the bodh of truth and actuality when Shiksha Sanskar is done for remuneration. I impart Shiksha Sanskar by the way of benevolence. It never came to my mind that I will get any remuneration or material object for doing this. Material things are not needed for imparting understanding. The teacher in the educational programs need to be autonomous and self reliant. It comes from understanding that an autonomous person will naturally be self reliant, will produce essential goods, be capable, and will be benevolent. It can be surveyed that every human has an inherent tendency for cooperation and benevolence. Benevolence can be taught to children based on this. If we nurture a child's tendency to cooperate in childhood, it naturally develops into a capability for benevolence in adulthood. The only thing that we need to do is to have a provision for nurturing these tendencies in education. This can only be accomplished through humane education. Industrial and professional education will not be able to do it. If this is brought into focus, it is possible to develop education that addresses behavior, orderliness, and evidence. Humans have to be the basis of evidence. It will not be possible for humans to become social by industrial or professional education. Whether or not such education result in oppression and atrocities with humans, it would be definitely result in oppression and atrocities with Earth. Earth has become ruined because of industrial and professional education. Therefore, As an alternative, we need humane education, behavioral education, resolutionistic education, and authentic education. Such an education shall keep humane conduct at its center. We need to develop a complete content for education to make humans wise and secure humane conduct. Well, very beautifully here, Babaji is talking about Shiksha Sanskar. So, um, well, this I feel in itself is self-explanatory, though. Today, if we see the education system out there, you actually, I don't know if there were any teachers in my life who I would look up to and think about I would want to be like one, unless until they are earning a good amount of money and have a luxurious life. And if I talk about conduct, I don't know, expect for like except for a few teachers who are really good, generous, and kind, I would want to be like any one of them. So unless until we are able to establish something which a child is able to take from, and not just for on the basis of skill, but as a person, as a personality in form of conduct and character, if I'm able to take something from an individual, that is something I feel like an individual will be able to keep for lifetime and learn from it. Even if I think back, out of all the teachers I knew, a few of them I remember, all of them were such who had been, uh, don't they are not the one who have helped me grow lot in terms of skill or giving, imparting knowledge, but the one who have actually, given me the life lessons which I actually need and which has helped me to move ahead in my life, deal with, the situations or the turmoils, or dealt with my emotional or that, emotional turbulences, I would say, rather than not able to score good marks. Like, I never liked my maths teacher because she only talked about marks every time. But on the other hand, the teacher who taught me literature, she was so calm. She was just like a mother to us in the classroom, even when we were in class 10. She dealt with all of our issues, what are the problems, and she was like mother in the class, even for a 15-year-old young teenager. And that is something which we all want in education. Skill definitely is a part of it. And here, Babaji has very clearly stated that one person who is teaching it for remuneration, who is standing there for salary, will definitely give you skill. And that is what we all require, we need to have, no doubt. But when here he has nowhere used the word education. Very specifically, the word here which is used is Siksha Sanskar. And sanskar is something which I personally believe cannot be exchanged for money. It is something which individual can only share and can only give if he has that kind of conduct within himself. And this is something even I see is like majorly lacking in present education. That is why most of us have become a very good robot which are able to earn in any XYZ 6 digit, 7 digit salary. But when it comes to humanity, I question where like most of us stand. And even if I see to myself, I often tend to look into myself and question where do I stand when it comes to humanity? Where do I stand when it comes to conduct? Where do I stand when it comes to behavior? But yeah, when it comes to money, we all are, a foot ahead of each other. There's no one anyway back. So this is something which is very important in today's education. And every time I feel Babaji has pinpointedly brought our attention towards it, that shiksha sanskar is something which we are lacking, which we need to bring, and this can never be brought through salaried people or through remuneration. Definitely they will earn, they will stand by themselves, but if they are doing only for money, maybe this is not the place, or this is not the way we are trying to proceed. And then the question comes, then how will it happen, or what kind of teachers do we need then? So, very clearly at the end of the paragraph, he says that education shall keep humane conduct in its center. That is value, character, and ethics. These three things are to be kept in center. Like, these are the three things the person also standing at the place of teacher should have in herself or himself and should be able to deliver. And we all can see the effects of education from last 50 100 years. I don't know if we have, definitely we have got ample of luxuries, comforts, all kind of technology and all those things which are far beyond excellent. But when it comes to human, when it comes to earth, we have done harm like nothing else. Like, I don't know what else worst we can do for humane society and for earth for that matter. So here, to save our mother earth, to save humankind, the only thing that which can be done is through bringing shiksha sanskar by keeping in center the humane conduct, that is value, character, and ethics. So the last paragraph, we see the people perform acts of rage and excitement instantly, but they think 10 times when it is to do with resolution, wisdom, or purposefulness. Such a tendency is not seen in childhood. As one grows up, one starts doubting one's cooperative nature, and gradually, cooperation getting lower in one's priorities. Eventually, it is too late, and one's circumstances also change. The changed circumstances only reinforce one's doubt about the wisdom and cooperation. And slowly, one takes a stand that nothing good is possible or that we can't do anything good in this world. On the other hand, every human naturally wants orderliness. Yeah, this is what before the child loses this belief of cooperating, before he believes that there's anything good left in this world, or before one child leaves the hope that the world is a good place to live in, before that, I feel there is a need of lot more such people to come into education, to give their um, enthusiastic participation with a beautiful humane conduct, which will bring back this hope, belief, and trust in every child going through the education system that yes, this world is a better place to live in. And the orderliness, that the truth, um, the beliefs that a child comes through is a natural instinct and is in within him is reestablished and he lives with it. So yeah, this is all I could say on to it. So coming on to page number 156. This proposal is for how orderliness can be accessible and how it can become common. Humans will have to become wise for this. Orderliness is to evidence human conduct in every aspect, angle, direction, and context in human living. This results in actualization of resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. Humans have been striving and waiting for ages for this only. At present, people think their own needs are justified, but the needs of others are unjustified. This is the reason one person exploits other person, one family exploits other family, one sect exploits other sect, and one country exploits other country. On this basis, it becomes clear that we will have to understand and recognize humane dharma and humane conduct and muster dedication and courage for actualizing it in its very lifetime. This is called determination, which brings about dedication for evidencing. The dedication is for living in orderliness and for expressing authenticity. Also, this dedication is about continuity for deploying the potential of delivering justice, living with justice, and living for justice. This is the way dedication will happen for justice, dharma, and truth. I don't see any other way for it. The dedication and worship, recitation, and meditation only reinforces and enhances the need for which we do these activities. It is said that these activities are performed also to satisfy the acute inquisitiveness for knowledge or for attaining moksha. Since time immemorial, these practices are believed to be auspicious. These have popular acceptance, people's respect. Also, many people find relief here. However, temporarily relief doesn't mean that we become capable of living in orderliness. This is not that I mistrust worship, recitation, dedication, meditation, etc. But there is a limit, and only till that limit these are effective. After these, there is wish for moksha, whose final destination is samadhi, wherein there is nothing to gain or lose. Therefore, we arrive at the conclusion that path for devotion, detachment, or accumulation don't give rise to orderliness. Then, how should human live? The art of human living is to live with resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. I have experienced living it. It is meaningful, and you can also live it. We have reached the point where every person can evidence it by living. Meaningfulness is acceptable and embraceable to all humans. Humane conduct is meaningful for humankind. Every unit in existence tends to be in orderliness, which itself is their dharma. Humans also want to live in orderliness, and on this basis, humanness is acceptable to them. Evidencing humanness itself is the evidence of our awakening. Okay. So, uh, on this particular page, I feel that a very pinpointed idea or a very pinpointed direction which is being given is I don't see anywhere if Babaji is, kind of saying that meditation, worship, or recitation is good. Or even I don't see anywhere he is putting it in a way that attaining the state of moksha or samadhi is good. But there is something beyond that we need to understand. This is something I feel can be individual goal, and even to say it, I feel this also is incomplete. Eventually, what an individual aims or individual wants is orderliness. And this is to be understood that not just humans want orderliness, every single unit on this planet, yeah, every single unit which exists in this existence, from a very single atom, may it be a plant, an animal, or just a single cell for that matter, is in orderliness. So, definitely, humans also want that orderliness. And attaining the state of moksha is not going to bring that orderliness, or even attaining the state of samadhi won't bring that orderliness which is required. Now, when we talk about orderliness, what is that? So, very clearly, that orderliness is about um, here. When he talks about orderliness, he talks about four things, that is, resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. So, this is something which is not an individual goal, or this is not something which I can do alone, or any one of us can do alone. So, resolution is something which I will do for myself. Prosperity is something which family as a unit will do. Fearlessness, a society, and coexistence as a complete entirely, it is about coexistence. So when we talk about orderliness, we need to understand this is not something which can be attained only through samadhi. This is something which has to be done by a society at large, and everyone has to be a part of it. And again, he brings us back to the idea how it can be done. It can be only done through humane conduct. Humane conduct is all what he talks about values and ethics. And for this, again, if how will this happen as a whole? Because now, again, this is a question which may come up that it is not about only myself. Now it is about everyone. We want it in society also to bring this orderliness. So for this is why he is talking about Shiksha Sanskar. So through Shiksha Sanskar, we bring that human conduct. This human conduct is imparted in every individual. These individuals have their resolutions. These individuals in family, collectively, they bring prosperity. In society together, they bring fearlessness, where every individual can live joyfully and peacefully. And then this is how we establish a coexistential living for ourselves as a whole, or on a world level, this is how we establish it. So, and this is what he says is our dharma, is the dharma of human to live in orderliness, to live in humane conduct, and this can be imparted through Siksha Sanskar, is what I have understood so far. We can move ahead. So, page number 158. When I evidenced humane conduct, I realized that humanness itself is my identity, and grandeur and joy started flowing continuously. I believe whole humankind is also thirsting for humanness. Humanness is the identity of humans. They will not be able to run away from it. Sooner or later, they will have to come around. Each human has the inherent possibility and the potential treasure for realizing humane tradition. The evidence is based on each human desire, needs, and enthusiasm. If just one person had propensity for orderliness, while others went about their lives mechanically, then everyone wouldn't have had the need and desire for becoming happy. Someone or the other has always occupied a seat of power, but even they didn't find happiness, self governance, and freedom. And those who looked up to the seat of power also didn't find any of it. This tells us that all of us are still empty handed. The only alternative for fulfilling this void is that every human lives with developed consciousness. Humane education is the only way for human awakening. Whatever efforts I have made towards it are out of my happiness. I am not doing it as a favor or obligation. I profess this based on the both of realization. Realization is authenticity, and its both happens in Buddha. This itself is called determination. We have the desire to express and communicate our understanding on the basis of this determination. This also gives rise to a tendency for evidencing. I evidenced and found that it is everyone's need. And upon realizing this, I started presenting it further, its further program. Okay. So here Babaji is stating that humane conduct is not something which is an individual need. This is not something that only I need for it, or this is something every human being has always wanted for. This is the thirst of every human being on this planet. And even for this, he states that this depends upon the desire, need, and enthusiasm of an individual. So, if I today don't feel this is the need, I may not do it. But this does not denies the fact that this is something is my inherent desire. This is something even I want, because this he says that is a very basic need of every individual. I may not acknowledge it today, but sooner or later, I will eventually realize that this is something I wanted. And so I feel it's true for all of us. If we would have felt it a need for ourselves, none of us would have been sitting here. he has done it and it would have been done, but it is not so. This is something we all need. We all are trying to understand it. And this is how we'll be able to create a humankind which is full of humanness. Now, this is something when it comes to this word of humankind, humanness, or humanity, uh, particularly these days, I feel we really need to think a lot about it. Like everything is in its order, like all of us can see around across the world, we see there are wars going on and the increased rate of crime, the kind of crimes which are increasing these days, and all of this, there's always a question on humanity. Now, where is it? And recently, I've seen people are not even willing to have kids because they are actually scared that what will be given to a generation to come forward. So, in this state, this is definitely a huge question for all of us, that what kind of, you know, humankind or what kind of humanity do we have in ourselves, and what kind of humanity we are leaving, and what are we leaving behind for the generations to come? Or am I enough confident to bring my child on this planet to live? So, for this, I feel it is very sensitive, and there are various things to be thought about and to be done, for which moving forward, again, I feel Babaji has made a path bit clear. He has given few programs what which can be done to bring this humane conduct and to share and spread these ideas among the other people in the society. So moving ahead, when he talks about the various programs that that Babaji has presented, the first one, the first endeavor he talks is Jeevan Vidya plan. Here, I have explained the activities of Jeevan, such as contemplation, determination, and realization. A determined person naturally start visualizing their way of living accordingly. Thus, far visualization used to be based on sensory ability. In its place, visualization starts happening now for a way of living with authenticity. Such living is called the way of benevolence. When we visualize our basic and greater needs through way of benevolence, it becomes clear that we become capable of benevolence only when we are autonomous. That is, when we are evidencing resolution and prosperity. This capability cannot be hidden away, and it is naturally channelized for benevolence. Our basic and greater needs become limited this way. So, very first thing that he is talking about Jeevan Vidya program. Here he tells that we should be able to identify our needs. And if we are able to identify our needs, and when he talk about needs specifically, there are two kinds of needs as we see. There are few basic needs which we need for food, shelter, that we need for our survival. And the second kind of need wherein he states like for communication and for spreading it through and to reach various people, we need certain kind of needs such as transportation, communication. And for this, he says that this also has this is something which we cannot do for again for money or something like that. Again, to participate in such kind of programs or to be part of such kind of program, we need to do it through upkar vidhi, to through this should come within that, okay, you need to do something for the society, and only this is how we'll be able to take it ahead. And in this, often we think, yeah, even when I used to think for myself, I used to think that I am not able to take care of myself as of now. I have not, I'm not yet settled. I don't have my own house. I don't have my own car. I don't have my own XYZ things. But it is not that. It is something I feel it is about mindset. And a lot of aspects I really want to talk this about, because specifically I feel that in youth today, even if I see in my friend circle, we all have this thing of having our own things. And we forget this, that wealth is never about an individual thing. Wealth is always about family. It is a thing which you inherit. Now, even if I talk about myself, I have very recently realized that I have my own house. Until a very long time, I had this thing that I want to have my own house. And now I realize that that actually made no sense. I already had such a huge house. Now, when I talk about having my own house, that is absolute nonsense if I even think of it. And this is, again, I feel that I've realized it because of a lot of uh, discussions with, after a lot of agreements and disagreements with a lot of elderly people who are associated with this idea. But until a very long time I had this notion, and a lot of people around, I see that I want my own house, my own car. This is all where we have even associated our identities with, and a lot of other things like that. So now I feel, in spite of putting that energy to bring my own house, I feel I'm able to channelize it now in a much better way when I am able to, talk at such platforms, communicate it with people. And in a way, I feel, yeah, I'm being part of this Jeevan Vidya program. And this makes much more sense to me now, in spite of the fact that the idea of prosperity and wealth, which was in my mind until a very long time, has now shifted, and it makes more meaningful that, okay, I'm still able to contribute in a much more effective way. So, yeah, this is one thing I really want to share, because I feel a lot of us have these notions in our head which are stuck deep down. And this is no more in those limits of that only boys have this notion, because in the world that we are growing now, imagine mother has one house, father has one house, and like son is having a house, daughter is having a house. When you get married, a wife comes in, or a daughter-in-law, she will has her own house. Now now when I think about it, it is like, oh god, where are we going? And imagine, in spite of this, we have a house, and rest of them can, work for something better, and something which is actually more necessary to do. So, yeah, this is one thing. Sometimes it is about making your head clear about a lot of notions that are stuck up to it. And you even need to make sense of what actually Jeevan Vidya program is about. And after clearing such small concepts, maybe it makes a way and it creates a channel wherein you can contribute it. Now I feel, yes, it's not just my time, energy, but yeah, some kind of resources I'm able to contribute. And this makes much more sense to me now. So yeah, this is one thing I really wanted to share, because there are a lot of youth that I see who are onto this platform and discussion. So this was one thing. We can move ahead if time permits. Rakesh, what time we can continue this?
See, we have till 9:30, but I think we will, you will need to have some pages that you do next week also.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I wanted to ask.
yeah, so maybe we can actually uh, close the reading for today, and from next page onwards, you can do from the next week. We would actually like to have some discussion with you now. And
Definitely.
yeah. So wonderful presentation, actually. I really like it. Was like listening to one's own daughter,
Yeah.
and in the and it almost sounded like having a call with my daughter only, right? Who is
Thank you so much, Priya.
so it was very nice. I think you explained the concept so well. I like the idea that the way you actually explained the need for recognizing and fulfilling, so that knowing and believing settles. right?
Hmm.
And giving the path for reaching to the knowing and believing point of fulfillment of knowing and believing, right? So recognizing and fulfilling is, in another words, is about connecting it to our context of life, right?
Hmm.
It is connecting with making those whatever we have read, whatever the concepts are, actually seeing that how do these map to my reality in the world that is around me. And then when once we actually are able to map it, uh, so then whatever we have known or we have analyzed, then it comes into our belief, right? And then we actually kind of settle in for that particular concept and have the space for actually accepting something more, understanding something more. So it was very well explained. Other thing that we actually learned today was while dharma is about the identity, about the self, right? About what is inalienable part of ourselves. Another, there is, it is also saying that dharma is getting manifested in the form of orderliness, right?
Hmm.
So which means that it is not, dharma is not something that is only inside us or something within us, but it has an outward manifestation also, right? So here it is something that uh, we basically realize that happiness is not just inside of us. It is something that has to actually have an outward um manifestation of this also. So this actually challenges the traditional path of spiritualism, where it basically tells us to look within and find answers inside and be satisfied over there. It is actually something that it is saying that even the realization actually happens in coexistence. So therefore, its manifestation also has to be in the form of coexistence. So that is also something very interesting that we learned today. We totally enjoyed your actually narration of that, how individualistic we have become, that uh, we are pursuing uh, to make, as if our children have to make their own world uh, all over again, right?
Hmm.
As if family does not have any continuity, right?
Hmm.
So while over here we are saying that family is something that actually has continuity forever, right? There will be people who will be dying, there will be new people who will be coming, and there will be a continuity of this. The resources are going to be there. It's not that everybody has to build a house, everybody has to build something. So might we actually need to recognize that. So it's very nicely you brought that point. You also brought our attention to the need for paying attention to humaneness,
Hmm.
right? Because the world seems to be actually losing its sense that what we are here for, uh, and somewhere even the livelihood is becoming so important that we are actually leaving out the living. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I will now open the floor for any discussions and questions for you. And
Yes.
Sanjeev Bhaiya, anything you would like to join?
Yeah, yeah. See, I don't have a question, but I have some observations. So, Netal, beautifully communicated, well explained, and like I observed, you have a natural flair for explanation, है ना? व्याख्या करने का जो है ना, वो एक natural flair है आप में. And what I could see was you could relate what Babaji is saying, okay, the content of Madhyastha Darshan, with the actual reality that we see around us. So that linkage, the earlier we start seeing in our lives, and the youth like you, who are in their 20s now, I mean, if we are able to assess it, its incompleteness, that itself is a big achievement. So
Yeah.
Babaji has repeatedly said that deluded humans are, after Roop, Pad, Dhan, Bal. Okay, so I mean, up to some time, I mean, I can say about myself, we also probably considered, and it's a very strong prevailing notion that this is what success is. Whatever our parents left for us, we have to make it as the starting point and make it 100 times, or whatever best we can do in our lifetime, and then our children, for them it will be the starting point, and then they have to make it 100 times in their lifetimes. So the whole life, the whole energy is devoted to accumulation and comfort, जिसको बाबा जी सुविधा संग्रह और रूप पद धन बल, है ना, मतलब उसको कह रहे हैं. So you could link it beautifully. I really loved that part.
Thank you.
So
Thank you, Ankit.
congratulations. And like at many other places also, I mean, I could see that that internal exploration is going on, and you could give your real life examples. So great work. All the best wishes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ankit. I would just like to share this thing. Specifically, when I shared this idea of, having own and the individuality that we have, the time when Sanjeev uncle was at Manav Teerth, even then I remember we had a conversation wherein I tried all my best advocating the fact that no, even, girls and women should specifically have their careers and, be financially stable and all of those things. And through and back, I often, keep on thinking about it, that what kind of questions were they, what I'm actually thinking about. Because often I've realized this one thing also happens, that we do tend to think certain kind of things because of the influence, but again when we come back and we see the world running in one direction, there's always a thought that am I missing out on certain thing, or maybe if I have taken the wrong path. But whenever I come back to the content, when I see these faces again, it reassures me that no, I am on the right path. And again, reading through the books and remembering those conversations, this in a way helps myself also reassure that no, you are on the right track and there's a long way to go now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Ganesh Bhaiya, anything you would like to add to this conversation?
Mm. Almost same views as Sanjeev Bhaiya. So the expression of Netal is very natural. And I was thinking that this is a great initiative on your part to give opportunity to so many new persons who can become in future a great speaker and can spread Jeevan Vidya throughout the world. So it's a very great initiative. Today they are taking 2 sessions. Tomorrow they will be ready to take the whole Jeevan Vidya session and can spread it to youngsters and to the people where they are residing and everywhere. So it's a wonderful idea, Bhaiya. So what we were thinking that how it can spread to the masses and how as many people, as many newcomers who can join Jeevan Vidya and can understand the concepts. So it's a very wonderful idea. So I'm fully satisfied till today. So whosoever has spoken, I'm fully satisfied and got my answers. Today, no new question as the things were understood by me. So, Bhaiya, regularly I'm reading the book also. So that is helping me and also participating in few other groups where we are doing Sabadhya. Thank you.
Bhaiya, so nice of you to share your observations. I see that basically we we uh, we are all normal people. We are not really missionaries right? We were not really out there to convert people into into believing into something. It is just a natural expression that we would like to do, something that even Nathan talked about, uh, that one needs to basically engage in a particular responsibility based on our interest, and then things actually start making more sense, right? Like for example, Nathal has taken responsibility for some work in the area of psychology and developing content for higher education, right? So this is one area which kind of tallies with her interest and background, and it is uh, something that where uh, darshan actually can gives a certain light in this direction, and there her contribution will shine. So each one of us can shine in this way, right? There is enough scope for everyone. This is not a pyramid structure in which very few people are going to be on the top, and rest of the people will need to be only followers, right? So that is not how we actually see this, right? So wonderful. Yeah. So I think uh, anyone else would like to say something? Spencer and Estelle would like to
Yeah.
say something?
Yeah, hi. Very nice presentation. It was, as everyone said, yeah, I think you have a natural way of explaining and speaking. It's very nice. I just wanted to comment, I really liked in your introduction how you said that you were more appealed by the people. Like first, not the content so much, but how like the way people were behaving seemed a little bit different. And I think it's very nice. And then you were actually reading about, yeah, humane conduct needs to be at the center of education. And I think it's also a good way, yeah, to see how this can spread. When more people live it,
Yeah.
then people will naturally be attracted towards that, and then think, oh, what's behind that, and then understanding the content behind it. But the human element is at the center. I really like that from your experience.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just wanted to also repeat what everyone has said, but I was thinking it myself that your expression was very nice. You know, you have nice way of reading and communicating and making sure everything is thoroughly explained. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah, you covered one of my favorite little parts actually, that when I read it, I think, oh, it just came back to me, was the line where Babaji says, you know, uh, we we think we are instantly we can do any act of like excitement or agitation, but we think 100 times over before we do anything of wisdom or resolution, you know, and uh, and then when we think 100 times over, then we delay the process, and then the opportunity changes, and then it's no longer there, and then we become doubtful. And so when you read that, it reminded me. I really like that one because I see it happening in my life quite a lot, you know. And so that was nice, and yeah, overall very good. And I was just, maybe if I was to ask one question, it was just, how did you enjoy the preparation process? How was it for you leading up to your session? Because you seemed very well organized and prepared.
Uh, well, there's one thing I would really like to share. I actually never prepare much before presenting because for me it goes better when I don't prepare. I don't know why. um, this is a thing I really don't know the answer to this. Even I would like to share this thing. When I was in Manav Teerth, there every Sunday we had a presentation on what we have understood from Monday to Friday. Like Monday to Friday, we had sessions with some of the other Prabodhak there, and Sunday we were supposed to give presentation. So every time I've prepared something, that presentation did not really went well. And every presentation wherein I just stood, I was able to connect the entire 5 days in a much better way. So yeah, actually, I feel I'm able to read and connect it with myself and express. This is how it works for myself. And I do sit and spend some time reading it and trying to understand for myself. But when it comes to presenting with someone, I just don't prepare, else I just mess it up. So, yeah, this is quite vague, but yeah, this is how it works for me.
Very nice. Interesting. So, anyone else? We have Divya Sharma ji also here. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, Rakesh Bhaiya. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you.
So usually I'm not into the situation where I can put on the camera, but wherever possible, I connect and listen.
Mhm.
So no questions as such, but I was talking to my sister and nephew and niece who are about to cross their teens. So I was emphasizing for the youth camp to them. And I was trying to explain in my own 40 plus year old ways to describe that how important it is to understand all of these concepts early in the cycle. But now with these type of platform, how beautifully Netal has put it across, it was so good. I don't have to explain anything to them now. I just have to these type of conversations where Spencer, like whomsoever has talked about it, it was very easily like how they have internalized the whole content, and then they are telling the example like the way you were like it is still a misconcept of having my own house, having my own car, and like we feel left out if we do not have one because everyone around us has got
Yeah.
it. So thank you for all of the sessions and thank you for adding values in between. Sanjeev Bhaiya comes in and gives like I'm always connected with him and wherever possible I try to exchange like where I the gaps which I have I always go to Sanjeev sir. And then hearing all of you is always good. So yeah, these are the faces which gives me also motivation and I try to connect. Thank you.
Thank
Well, to
you.
this, if I may just say one thing, uh, my mom's allowed me, even I have went to youth camp at very first place, and I actually was not at all interested to listen to any kind of shiver at that point of time. But my mom allowed me, and even I went it in a way that there's a winter vacation and I'll get an 8 day break wherein there's no study, meeting few new people and just living with them and enjoying. It was kind of a vacation for me when I first went to youth camp. And that is how I would suggest you can send your niece and all kids around. And eventually, definitely, as I said earlier, people and content, the discussions, the way it flows, you just start thinking about. And somewhere in your head, it is always going on. And even when I see for myself, I had an information about it. I have met almost everyone because my mom had done couple of shivir before. So I had met a lot of people. Like I've met Som Uncle, Anita Masi, a lot of people in Raipur, and I knew something about content, which I won't say that, yeah, I was listening to it consciously, but somewhere subconsciously it's there in your head. And as even we read today, this is something we all want. So sooner or later, whenever there is your need, you just then make up your own way to that. That is how it even happened to me. And I've seen a lot of youth joining that way. So let them just go for a vacation and rest will follow.
No,
It's
I'll
not
add it.
sooner or later. Better sooner than later.
I'll add it to my list of persuading them one more point. So that's
Vacation.
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, so I think it's about time. So once again, thank you all of you, and we will meet again on the next Wednesday. So thank you and have a nice day or nice evening.
Thank you. Namaste to all.